So to open up, we'll go start from the top. Have everyone introduce themselves, and then we'll let Selfie take it away.
All right. I'm Shepard.
I'm Brachiosaurus.
I'm Burford.
I'm Xander. I'm the outfit leader, and just to recap, Shepard is the executive officer of the Four Aces. Brachiosaurus is one of our operations officers. Four Aces. Burford is our website director for the Four Aces. And next.
It's Kaido and Wiggles combined. Oh yeah.
I am Beard of Zeus, known as Zeus.
I'm Death Comrade, known as Death, former communications director of the Four Aces.
And I'm Pogan, known as Pogan.
Now I'm Striker Rio, formerly known as Strider Rio, so it might be hard to recognize me now.
Alright, and I'm Selfie, otherwise known as Alonson, currently conducting this interview.
Take her away.
So to start things off, I have a question specifically for Xander. So what exactly inspired you to start the Four Aces?
What inspired me originally? So it wasn't until probably my junior year in college that I actually played in any kind of online co-op, and that online co-op game was Left 4 Dead, with 4 people involved. And many times I would play, and I'd be right at the end of the stage or something, and there'd be some jerk off that would just shoot me in the back and then leave me for dead, or just annihilate the team. So I came up with the idea of, well, put together a group of good-natured and team-oriented players who wanted to work together, and also you could have a lot of fun with, who weren't so serious. They were serious enough to work together to accomplish a goal, but not so serious that their entire ego or reputation was on their, staked on their gaming skill. So very fine medium. And that was the inspiration to put that together, so that when we would come online and play, we would, be almost like playing with real life friends, and you could have the best gaming experience because it's fun to win, and it's also fun to just have to play with some funny, good-natured folks. Want to point out that Striker Rio and Beard of Zeus and Wiggles / Kyoto have been with the Four Aces back from those days 9 years ago, give or take some change, all the way back since the release of Left 4 Dead. So that was the primary inspiration, was to find team-oriented people who were good-natured that I could basically have fun with playing online. So there's a little bit of selfish reasoning behind it, but it also was for the good playtime for everybody else as well.
All right, and you mentioned a couple times that you tried 2 or 3 times to actually get the Four Aces up and rolling. Do you remember when that was, about when you had your starts and stops?
Not the exact years. I don't know, Zeus. You could probably give me. What do you think? What about, you were there for the first time around because you were an admin.
Your channel.
I would say it was around 2008 that we started, I guess, because that was the release of the game. But after a couple of years, I know we got into L4D2 when it came out, and we would play that pretty regularly. But there was a moment where you were busy, or you had to actually just stop managing the group altogether, and then only recently we've sort of had this like renaissance or coming back together with these games, Daisy, PlanetSide, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was Left 4 Dead. It had a really good run, and we had built the group up to like 40 or 50 people, because you guys remember when we actually had Roman numerals attached to each new member as soon as they passed evaluation?
Yeah, I had 6, I think.
So we got to a point. So like, as a group evolves and it grows, that was one of the things we wanted all the members to have Roman numerals. So I was Ace 1, the outfit leader, and each person progressively got higher. But eventually we got into the 20s and 30s, and the Roman numerals got too long to to actually attach to names anymore. So we had to go away from that. And what happened is people got tired of Left 4 Dead, the first one. So there's only 4 levels or something like that on there, and you can only play it. We put it on the hardest level and just dominated the levels. It got to the point where the hardest setting was too easy for us. So people as they naturally do, they lost interest in the game, and it kind of just fell apart. In addition to that, I was doing a lot of military training at the time, so every summer after school, I was working, and if I wasn't working, I was getting sent to some part of the country to complete officer training. So, I didn't have a lot of admins who were standing in to, pick up the slack and keep things interesting. And like I said, there's only so much you can do with one game. So we got kind of a bring back when Left 4 Dead 2 came out, and everybody got into that. But I think the overall feeling was that Left 4 Dead 2 wasn't as good as the first Left 4 Dead. They tried to make it more challenging, but the ways they made it more challenging made it, stupidly difficult. Kind of like, you run past the stall, and then as soon as you run past it, a horde of zombies emerge from it that weren't there a second ago, and the randomized movements of the zombies. So there's a lot of things that put people off about Left 4 Dead 2, even though overall it's a pretty fun game. And I recognize that Left 4 Dead 2 wasn't going to be able to carry itself forever, just like Left 4 Dead 1 did. So I tried getting into Killing Floor and doing a couple other games. But once again, I ended up, my wife got pregnant and had kids, and married, became an officer. As life goes on, it just kind of fell away from it again. And it wasn't until Death by Guava, who's still in the Steam page, he just recommended PlanetSide 2 to me, just on the Steam page. And he's like, hey, it's free to play, it's pretty cool. I'd never heard about it. I knew nothing about PlanetSide 1 or PlanetSide 2. And I was just like, well, yeah, I'll get around to looking at it. And I just was really bored, had no idea what to play, and I downloaded it one day, and I was just blown away. I was like, holy shit, this, I went into it and quickly realized that unless you have a squad or something like that, you get your ass kicked pretty quick. And I'm not an awesome player individually anyway, so I knew I could manage a team well. So I just started grabbing up people as quick as I could, running around the warp gate, queuing them up, bringing them in, running ops, and inviting people in, and then thus the 4 Aces was revived again for the third time, and hopefully for the final time to stay. So that is the layers of the 4 Aces. Striker or Wiggle, you guys have anything to capitalize on that?
Now I just remember the day you went, you said you had kids, and I was like, we're getting old.
It's okay, man. He invited me when I was still in high school.
Yeah, same here, actually.
I was a retarded child who played games.
Yeah, and that was pretty funny. I think there were some people that were younger teenagers, that that get in touch with them now. They're college students, or they're fully grown and have families of their own. So it's been a crazy ride.
But we all still have trust issues with you, Xander.
That's issues.
Selfie, is that a Steam page post from back when I was trying to get the PlanetSide 2 group started back up?
Yep.
So March 6, 2013. Wow. Yeah, that's I was pretty into it, PlanetSide 2. So it was fun.
Alright, so this question goes out to all of the original members. Did any of you know Xander before you joined, or if you didn't, how did you end up joining?
Who wants to go first on that one?
I'll let you go first, Beard.
Okay, well, I actually met Xander. I'm pretty sure it was a random matchmaking deal with Left 4 Dead, actually, and he had this great idea of actually getting together with people who took the game seriously, and I've never been in a clan or any sort of group like this before. And I actually just jumped on the idea after a couple of games with him where we would just, like he was saying, destroy the expert difficulty with no problems at all, because we were able to communicate and just dominate that entire game. And as we got, more and more members, it became easier to, get together and do that sort of thing. And I actually wasn't part of the whole PlanetSide revolution, but ever since DayZ came out, I guess I got some zombie nostalgia working, and so I've been been back active with the group ever since. But yeah, it was actually just a random get together, like a matchmaking thing. Said, hey, I'm starting this group, and I want you to be a part of it, and I've been a part ever since.
Mine would be the same idea, except for mine was Killing Floor. I'm pretty sure it was Killing Floor. I was running around murdering everything, and Xander's like, you should probably work as a team. I was like, well, why? It's so much more fun killing everything. And then I died.
Did I really take you to task like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
I
He
can
told me
see it. I can see you dying and just being like, good, you see what you get? Now group up with us next time, and we'll do much better working together.
See, that's exactly how it went down, because I remember that. I was sad and depressed.
I didn't remember that. Actually, a lot of people get put off like that if they run rogue. If they do die and somebody kind of gloats, they'll just be like "F you" and get off the server and leave.
I had to prove to you I was better than you, so I stay with you.
I guess if we're going with originals first, Striker, do you remember the day?
He's gathering sticky notes right now. Hold on.
Pogan, were you in one of the original 4 Aces?
No, I think it was after you guys started recruiting publicly.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess with the question, Shepard, you want to take it from the top?
Sure. So where did I meet Xander, basically?
Yeah, how did you come into contact with the outfit or Xander?
It was my first day of PlanetSide. I was just derping around. The guys at work had recommended the game to me. I hopped on the wrong server from what he told me to. But I was just like, I was getting bored. I'm just like, I'm just looking through the menu. Just like, join a squad, join random squad. I think we were basically. It just turned out to be we were doing gal drops all over Amherst, and I'm just like, holy shit, this game is awesome. And these people and just how they're doing this. Just coordinated. I'd never seen a game like it. I'm just like, I want to join you guys, and that's pretty much how I joined.
Wait, is the question how you? Sorry, was the question how they met me, or was it how they joined the outfit?
For me,
either or.
it's one and the same. Cause I don't specifically remember what Xander was doing, but I joined a squad, and it seemed like Xander knew what he was doing. He kept the group organized. We captured this base. All right. As soon as this is done, hop in the galaxies, drop on the next one, rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
And
just to
I just
reiterate.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed that kind of gameplay.
Well, I guess the next in question would be me. In regards to how I met Xander, well, I didn't meet Xander until the revival in PlanetSide 2. I actually met him through Daydreamer27, which happens to be my twin brother. He was playing a couple of times, and I introduced him to PlanetSide. And it wasn't very long until he managed to find Xander in one of his squads. I think he may have been in even one of the very first squads that he was running. But they were running pretty well, and I saw it happen like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, hey, can I get in on this squad? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I remember, this is my brother, blah, 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 Brachiosaurus. And I ended up running with Xander from there and seeing how things were operating, and it was definitely, the teamwork was something that I hadn't seen because I'd been a part of many squads before that were just, everyone doing their own thing. But to actually see that coordination was, at least at that level, was very impressive for me and definitely kept me with Xander and add on the friends list. And then next thing we know, we're part of this whole outfit. So that's how I came across the outfit and Xander.
My story is pretty much the same as Surfer. I was just playing, derping around for a while. I was actually getting sick of the game because I was just getting killed all the time. And then all of a sudden I got, hey, join the squad. And I did, and just like Death was saying, we started doing gal drops and killing, and it was great.
Shepard,
yeah, that's what I said, right?
you said Death.
Oh, well, whatever. One of you guys.
He also called Brock Burf, I think, so he might have been drinking today.
Yeah.
I
Burf's
get
a
called
home
enough
brewer.
things.
Wait, we're not supposed to be drinking while doing this?
Damn.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Better kick me out.
So I guess I'll go ahead and go. So I think, where was I? I think it was like April. It was like late April, and I had just gotten the game, and I think where was I? I was on Esamir, and I was dicking around on Esamir. Derping around on Esamir, and I always tell Xander, this guy he doesn't remember the guy, or if he does, he doesn't remember him very well. But his name was VH1 Classics, and I thought that was at the time I thought that was hilarious. But anyways, I was rolling with that dude, and I think Xander rolled up in like a Sunday, and I was surprised. In retrospect, didn't get hit, which was nice. But he actually picked us up, and I think we rolled around in a Sunday for a while, and I think we did a couple like little, a few bases here and there, and we had some good luck with it. And then we got a random invite to the outfit, and yeah, that's when I jumped in. I mean, it's kind of random, like just some guy rolling by on a Sunday, and you jump in, and then, that's the beginning of a long journey, so to speak.
That sounds so sketchy.
Hey,
You boys want some candy?
Get in the van.
Hop in my van.
Come in my windowless van with weapons.
hey, I'm just happy he didn't hit me,
That's
Grandpa
a classic.
I was trying to get you to join me at the time.
He just didn't want you to know how he wanted to join him.
I guess I can go next. So, I was playing Plant Side for maybe, 6 months before, and I was part of a few derpy kind of outfits. Not a whole lot of organization. We just jump in some vehicles, basically charge the front lines and explode. Eventually, that kind of those kind of tactics kind of wear down members, and a lot of the times there's a lot of new people, and they would end up not playing the game as much. Eventually, some of those outfits died off. One time I was on, I think it was Esamir, and there's a nice public squad going on. I think either Xander or Brachiozord was running it. And we were able to take down bases and counterattack, and it was a whole lot of fun compared to the usual tactics I would usually encounter. And so, I ended up joining the outfit, and it's been a lot of fun since then. But I think I met Xander either that day or soon after, and I think that was around the time when Harassers came out, and we had a lot of fun in Harassers.
I do remember
Yeah.
VH1 Classics, by the way.
I think I remember him as well.
I was sad to see him go.
I think that's everybody, right?
In the channel, yeah.
Did Striker go?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wait, did he?
No.
Yeah.
He was
Or
silent
the
earlier.
original.
Until he left.
He was silent, that's right.
No, sorry. Yeah, I got up for like 5 seconds there. Yeah, that was like way back. It was most likely Killing Floor. And then we probably played some Left 4 Dead 2, and that's how I got to know Xander. He'd always pull us into events or team play and stuff. And that's all I remember the past years. Fun times were had. I remember, what's that game with the blocks and the guns? They
Ace of
shoot.
Spades.
Yeah, that one. Even
Wow.
the name. And yeah, that's the extent of my memory there. They were good times. I'm sure.
How old
Love you
were
all.
you? How old were you when you were getting evaluated initially, Striker?
Back then, or like
Yeah, back then.
there was an evaluation?
Yeah,
Must have been,
yeah.
like
I mean,
4
we
or 5 years ago. 23.
23. Okay.
I don't remember dates and ages.
I was probably like 18. Crazy to think.
Really? I was like 14. Man.
I think it's funny because if I remember, I think Striker was one of the folks that we weren't really sure if we were gonna pass back during that time. I think you got in, but I think we had to evaluate you a couple times. Just I only can faintly remember it though.
That I can't remember. It's probably why. Probably didn't take it very seriously. I'm sorry. I do now.
Makes you feel any better, Striker. At least you got interviewed. They just kind of let me fly through. Express lane all the way.
Like, yeah, just let him in. He's special.
I wore my special hat.
You always wear your special hat.
Duh.
Like, shake this maraca. It will make our enemies tremble in fear. Just stay here.
Alright, good conversation moving again. Xander or anybody else who knows what was going on then, what kind of admin structure did Xander use in his earlier attempts at the outfit, and how has it changed since that time?
Are you talking about the Planet like we're talking Planet Side 2 revival time, right?
Yeah,
Or
anything
like
there
the
and
first
before.
few iterations.
Yeah, I was thinking like what you were saying earlier about the Roman numerals. That's how you did admins, and how we would evaluate people would just be to play a game with several admins in Left 4 Dead.
I remember that one too.
Oh, hey, Pardo's here now.
Sorry about that.
Oh, nice. Selfie, you want to get Pardew's perspective real quick for the first? We didn't get too far into it.
All right then.
Yeah, okay. How did you end up joining, or did you know Xander before you joined the outfit?
Oh, it's I didn't really know people in this outfit before I joined. I got a new Dell computer, new family computer that actually had graphics to run PlanetSide. I've been looking at PlanetSide ever since beta. Couldn't really play it because my family had old computers. But when I was able to get on there, I start looking around. I start liking what I was seeing. Did my first squad. First squad I joined was a 4-race platoon. Been with you guys ever since. And that was last May.
April.
Really? April? I thought it was
Yep.
May.
You and I joined the same day, dude.
Yeah, I know that, but I thought it was May.
Alright, real quick then. Xander, do any members of the outfit, did you know them before you started the outfit? Like, you know any of these guys real life?
No, that's one of the things that kind of makes it unique is I do not have I have friends who play games, but they don't play the same games that I do. They're all the Call of Duty or Modern Warfare or they like Team Fortress, something like that. And so yeah, I didn't really have any real life friends to play with, which is why it kind of sucked to be by myself trying to hop into these MMO games or these co-op games, going at it alone, which I guess is the big motivating drive back from question number one. But no, that's one of the goals that I have for the outfit is to breach that, I have real life friends and these are my online friends. Because if you really kick back and just take into perspective how much time we will spend together online with each other, it's a pretty impressive amount of time for some of us, and especially for the officer level, as much time as we spend just talking to each other throughout the day, any of the officers, we pretty much know each other's family and personal lives pretty well, all the way down to beliefs and things like that. I know that I'll get into, huge philosophical or political discussions with Daydreamer, and Burf and I talk quite a bit about families and religion here and there, and Shepard and his girlfriend usually has some interesting stuff. But yeah, that's didn't know anybody from real life. I am hoping to change that this summer with the transition leave and getting up and actually going out and meeting people, and the 4Ace convention in June that I'm hoping comes together. So hopefully we can change that. But no, I don't know. I've never seen anybody in real life.
We don't know what each other looks like in real life.
I know what you look like, Brack.
Say again?
Facebook.
Well, that's creepy.
Oh yeah, there's
And
that.
Twitter.
Putting
Oh,
your
yeah.
real face on Facebook. Huh?
Yeah.
That's the same way with me, Burf, and Billy.
What?
Really?
Yeah,
Really good.
Billy and I Skype. He helped me build my new rig, so we had to see each other face to face to do it because I had to use my camera on my phone.
You had to see your face in order to build
Yeah.
your computer?
No, because I picked it up.
Giggity.
Like every time I picked up my phone, because I had to do it with two hands. I had to pick up my phone, and as I picked it up, you'll see like portions of my face and stuff as I picked it up, so I could see like where the camera's facing and which camera it's on. So I'm able to show him the PC because I literally built it in a tiny little room on my lap for like an hour.
Impressive, sir.
Nice. But jumping back to the admin question, I think Zeus hit it on the head. I honestly, I didn't remember that. I knew we had like, after we tried to have like all members have a Roman numeral number, but after we couldn't support that, we tried to have admins have Roman numeral numbers, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I think maybe we got to like we got to 10 between 10 and 20 before we were like, okay, I don't think this is gonna work. I think we had like basically a council of around 6 people. I know at least 6 because I was Roman numeral 6. But we would get 3 admins into a team. This is Left 4 Dead, and then have a potential member get in the same team with us, and we would evaluate them on whether they were being a dick or if they didn't have the skill that was needed to be a part of the group. Most people passed. I don't think we denied very many people, but I really enjoyed doing that when we had the time. But that was the most that was mostly it. It was a very basic admin structure and
Yeah, much smaller
system.
group.
Yep.
Yeah, and a shout out to Thorn Falcon Eye, Trek, Angel Spectre. Those are the names that jump out at me offhand.
That's right, Trek. I remember definitely.
Some of those guys actually went on to do like competitive Left 4 Dead competitions, and they really whooped it up. We never put together our own team, but I do remember that. It was pretty cool.
Is Jay still in on it? You know, Jay.
Yeah. Jay was this. He was a Canadian National Guardsman. He was actually a sniper, I believe, up with the Canadian military. And no, I haven't heard. He kind of fell off, and I never heard again from him. I would chit chat every once in a while, but I haven't talked to him in years.
Right.
But for the current structure, I tell you, I'm gonna let Shepard and Death and Burf and Brock. I'll let those guys kind of start it from the beginning and explain it. I honestly don't really remember.
Oh geez, yeah, the beginning. I can remember those very first squads. All the way back in like early March and stuff. And I remember when Shep first came in, and Shep was not even with us, not even 2 or 3 days. And I think it was Shep who introduced the engine website.
Yep.
I was like, hey, and it was like, hey, you check it out. PlanetSide 2 showed me like this engine website. We should probably have one going because we have enough people. Like we were consistently getting at least a squad at the time. Like we should totally have just this website just to manage to see who's online and see what other game, not what other games we play. That would come much later, but oh, Shep, take it from here.
I was gonna say because I remember hearing Xander saying something about he was looking for a website, and I'm just like, I started browsing the Steam forums and I saw this one guy said he had the skills to make this engine website. I'm just like, I tried contacting him. It was hey Xander, I'm trying to get this in contact with this guy. I'm just like, all right, cool. And the guy never responds. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna take a look at this site and see what I can do. Just start fiddling around with it. It was just like, hey, this is pretty easy. Check it out. So ended up with that. He and I fiddled around with it for a few days, and actually pretty much, yeah. I think that's when we defined the officership as someone who could lead and do admin work more correctly. And I think that's actually how I got my officership, was setting up the website the first time.
I actually remember when the site first came on, I was like, hey, you know, the 4 Aces domain is available. So I went out and got it for Xander. And then I remember it being a pain in the ass to actually get it to work on Engine, but those were all fun games.
Yeah. I think the 4 Aces is still available now if we wanted to steal that as well.
At the time, the 4 Aces with the letter 4 was some poker thing.
Yeah.
I know, admin structure then and now, big differences. What do you guys think?
Yes. Well,
fairly
at
different.
the very moment now, I don't know, but the time when I left, I think it definitely changed over considerably.
Well, because back then we just had officers, members, recruits, and non-applicants. That's all we had.
Yeah.
And then it evolved into we need some people who we can like count on who are just squad leads, and then the NCOs were born. And then it was like we started getting more and more admin work, and we was like, all right, we need some people to work underneath each officer, and then we made the warrant officers. And then warrant officers were basically just people who, like the sub admins of each group. Like they would just the officer in charge of like TeamSpeak or the website could divvy something off to the warrant officer of that group.
Here's what I do remember from the very start. It was a very loosey goosey. I mean, we were an organized Zerg, I guess, and officers were selected based on who was vocal and cooperative. And I'd be like, hey, who wants to run a squad? And they would be like, yeah, I'll do it. And if I was in the squad with them, it seemed like they would do a pretty good job. And I would just toss them up to officer. We didn't have a website or anything like that. And we were attacking a biodome, and I think someone was just talking about it idly, like, hey, and that's where the topic of the website should, hey, we should get a website going. We should bring it up. And I was and I remember because I was like, yeah, I've always wanted that, but I'm a medical guy. I'm not a technical guy. So the idea of putting together a website, I'd have no idea. I put together the Steam page, and I was pleased with myself just for being able to do that. So it was Shepard who really stepped up to get the website idea up and going. And I remember that's when the first few months were a huge evolution of the outfit, because we went from this loosey-goosey Zerg fit, get on and do whatever you want, to okay, now we have a website. We want you all to go to the website and get on board. There's a time frame for which you have to get onto that website. And that's what I mean. We lost probably like half the outfit because they were just casual players and didn't want to get involved with website and any of those kind of mechanics. And so we went from probably like a 80 or 90 group down to like a 50 or 60, and had to do like some hardcore recruiting pushes. And I remember trying to get the domain in with Burf. And it really was a series of, there was a small group of the officers who got together. We talked, we brainstormed, and everybody used kind of their individual skills to advance the outfit in one way or another. Because I mean, domain names and stuff like that, I've actually given Burford my login information and just been like, here, go fix whatever you need to go fix. And he goes and does it, and I just change the password back afterwards. And it's cool that, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can trust people you meet and play with and get to know real well to do things like that. Not that he could steal my bank account information or anything, but he could definitely cause me a headache. But yeah, the admin structure from there just evolved as as situations came up, and I'd say from then it was same thing the way it was with Left 4 Dead. It was a small group of people doing it, but the big difference between PlanetSide 2 and the Left 4 Dead was that your exposure to the amount of people you could recruit in PlanetSide 2 is vastly greater than what it was in Left 4 Dead. So we were quickly outnumbered by the amount of members that we had and needed to manage and lead. So of course we had to start bringing in new leaders and new officers. And so you have that tight core group is still there for the most part. We've had a couple splices off, and but now it's very it's been a kind of a wondrous, daunting thing. The admin structure now is extremely businesslike in a lot of ways, in that there's the chains of commands, the multiple administrative routes that people have within multiple games is it's an impressive machine that we've really built up together. And that's there's a lot less game time, fun time for my part, and it's a lot more admin time and outfit vision for the future and building it up almost like a business. So that's the huge difference between, in the course of a year, as we went from that small core group to blowing up into almost like a corporation model type deal.
Yeah, we definitely I definitely remember, at least in the October, November, December timeline, where we started, at least I remember, we made that push towards that corporation type setup. Because at the time, it was like, I remember it was Xander, and it was like that for numerous months through the summer into the fall of last year. It was like Xander would sit on top and watch everybody. It was regards to like making sure things were done, and it was just like this long line of people that had different things to do, and it just seemed like at least when I remember proposing
User entered your channel.
a chain of command in that way, it seemed kind of hectic, at least for the top guy, because he had to check on like every single person in the row, and it definitely I think I just remember going through October, November, and into December, we were just like, I know at least I talked to I know I remember bringing it up to Xander, but at the time I had talked to Shepard about it and was like, yo, it's just kind of it's getting kind of messy with like all the warrant officers and all the like we had expanded from like I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 officers, and we had gone up to like 10, and we added warrant officers and NCOs, and it was getting to the point where the management wasn't, it was, the leadership was there, it just wasn't
It was delineated.
efficient. Yeah,
Yes.
it was just inefficient, and it was like all over the place. And so I remember at the time last fall and winter that I, talked to Shepard at first, and then proposed the idea to Xander and let everyone. Well, I let him kind of make the decision with that, and I don't know if that's still the setup now, but at the time that's when we developed the directors, the tier 2s. I don't know what's happened since then, but I know we had 3 tier 2s at the time. It was Burford, Jim, and myself, and then under us we had specific people relevant to our kind of staffs, and we would make sure we get jobs done. But yeah, I don't know what it is now. I'd love to know, but I don't know if it stayed the same or deviated from what it was a couple months ago. But I'm glad it has improved, streamlined.
Actually, yeah, I think we restructured soon after you left, because when you left there was a big void, and then that's when I made the decision to go into game silos, to where everything was contained within a game, not like, an operations director overseeing ops for all the games. So we have fine-tuned it a little bit since you left, and we're still fine-tuning here. PlanetSide 2 is in the middle of a new evolution, and yeah, and that's as we grow. I think it was Burford who told me, he's like, that's the difference between a successful business and one that stagnates is changing and adapting and evolving into that next phase, and whether or not you're going to relinquish that individual control. Because before we went to the directors and everything, it was I pretty much had to check on everything.
Yeah, everything.
And, yeah, so I couldn't keep up with it, and so that's when I decided, all right, we're gonna broaden out, and I'm gonna have these people doing these jobs and checking things out, and then the chain command just built. So, and we have what we have today.
The structure is still kind of the same with the different division heads. I guess you're right. The big difference is each game has its own leader now.
Cool.
All right. So you guys already answered my next question, which was about the website, so I'll skip that. What inspired you guys with the logo and the name of the outfit?
Well, the name, I have this in the history, so I kind of am responsible for the original logo and name. And the name started back as far back as when Resident Evil Outbreak came out, and this is like early online co-op games where you had like a server room and you couldn't talk, you could only like do a little bit of chat, and the sentence can only be like 160 characters. So I played Resident Evil Outbreak online, and there's 3 other people I'd never met, but I'd met them randomly, and same thing, we would set the hardest level on the hardest setting, and we would either all go down together, or we would make sure that everybody made it out together. And just had a lot of desperate Resident Evil experiences, and if anyone who's played that game, when you put on the hardest setting, like 1 zombie bite and you're done. So, I mean, it was the amount of teamwork and backup that we had with such limited communication methods, because if anyone remembers, all you had was like the little toggles, the point in each direction that would either say like help, or you only had like 8 commands that you could yell. And so there was 4 of us, and my dad would always take me to arcades. Have tons of great memories going out to playing video games with my dad, and whenever he'd be on the ranking board, he'd put the name Ace, and I never knew why, and it was just the name he liked. So there's 4 of us, and we were really good, and so I was like, all right, we're the 4 aces, and that's what I would name the server, so we would know how to find each other with that. And from there, that's the same thing. Left 4 Dead, 4 co-op spots, and I said, well, it seems fitting, so I'll roll with it. And from there, just kind of, that was my name, and that's gonna be my group, and that's how I built it up. Now, as far as the logo with the Reaper, and this was funny because like the company that I had designed this logo for me, I would never use it again. It was such a pain.
I remember
But
that.
yeah. So I shelled out the
User
money for the
disconnected
upstart,
from your channel.
and I'd already committed funds to this logo, so I had to like see it through. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, you pay us up front, and then we do the work until you're completely satisfied with it. Long story short, it was a difficult process, but I don't know. I always liked the idea. The four aces. It has to do with gambling. Death is a gamble, and you obviously die a lot in games, and it just seemed fitting that the four aces were gambling, and you're gonna take a lot of gambles in games that are gonna either put you back or put you ahead, and it's kind of how we can conduct ourselves too. We don't do a lot of tactics that are just straight on bash your head against the wall type tactics. A lot of stuff we do is, when we're about to do a galaxy drop, it goes kind of like, hey, we're either going to get wiped out in 30 seconds, or we're going to change the entire front of the battle right now. And so it just kind of seemed fitting, and to have death and gambling together. So that was the inspiration for the logo and the backstory behind the outfit name.
All right.
What was
Anyone
the
else?
website question? Just because I'm curious.
Oh, I was just gonna ask when and how was the website created, but
Yeah.
All right. So as a broader question, do any of you remember any particular ops or events that really stood out and defined what you were as an outfit?
Quite a few, actually.
I got one in particular. If you want to hear about it.
Party, introduce yourself first.
He already did.
I already did.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
It
go
was.
for it, Party.
I forget if it was really considered an ops, but we had a squad and a half, a full alpha, half a bravo. There was a VS Zerg. I forget which outfits they were. I didn't really care at the point. On Amrish, just demolishing everybody. And I forget which I think we were still with the coalition, but yeah, Xander, I think you're the one that came up with the idea. We got 2 to 4 of us pull Aegis Shield Maxes, take 2 gals, drop right on this building, hold down the building, and don't let any enemies in. We did it for an hour and a half with no one respawning. We just had enough medics to keep everybody alive and the Maxes on the doors, holding off like a platoon and a half of VS.
Yeah, I was there. I actually remember that.
User joined your channel.
I remember that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should remember that one.
I must not been leading because I don't remember it.
Oh, you were there. I remember. I remember you calling out
User
squad
left your
comp buck
channel.
just before the drop.
Yeah, I remember
And,
that too.
Yeah, I know I was one of the medics. It was me and 2 other people. But yeah, we were there for like an hour and a half. I think DARP was one of the outfits that was assailing the compound, as it were. I think they even were saying over the yell chat how they couldn't get in the building.
Lol.
Okay, hold on. That tickles my memory. I remember you guys bringing up the shoutouts, and I always like when we get shoutouts. Okay, yeah, I can't remember the exact. I know we've had situations like that for sure. I know Death. I wasn't there for, but Death led a particularly good one on an amp station or a tech plant.
Oh. Yeah. I think yeah.
But I guess that's a good one for party. Chef, you want to take it from the top?
Well, I remember the time where we had, we ended up with 2 full squads, and then me, Death, and a couple others. We took this Charlie Harasser squad. We basically just acted like special forces, and we just run ahead of, like Xander said, all right, we're moving to this place next. Me, Death would just grab the harassers, take the 3 other guys we had. We rushed ahead, prepped the base, flipped everything, just set everything up, and then Xander could just roll in, take the base easily. And it was just so organized. There was never a dull moment. It was always whether there was a fight or not.
I remember that.
Yeah, the
That and
Saboteur squad.
Yeah,
That was the first Saboteur squad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, before we
I
even
remember that.
named them. Yeah. And then like Death and I were just like, Xander, we need to make this more often. And we were just like, he was like, fine, someone come up with a name. I don't remember who came up with the Saboteur, but yeah, that's how that
I
came up.
feel like that was Daydreamer.
That was
I think so.
Yeah, I definitely remember that one.
Oh yeah, that was a
What
fun
you got?
day.
Well,
I like
remember that
the
one.
the operation. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, just the operation to remember all operations. I wasn't a part of this, but I was watching Day do it. It was MTC leading the platoon, and there was this massive, utterly huge Mozzie squad. TR at
Oh.
Jaeger's Fist or Jaeger's Crossing
Yeah,
on
it was
Esamir.
Jaeger's Crossing. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember
Jaeger's
that
Crossing.
one.
Like it was not an exaggeration to say that there was somewhere around 50 or 60 Mozzies in the air.
All
that- I
rotating the same
remember that.
direction. Every one of them went the same damn way.
Yep, and then it ended up turning from that Mozzie squad, and it went to a huge foot battle. And there's actually videos of it actually on the website. And there's I remember Day actually took a small video of him just sniping away, and you could just see this massive foot surge. And I believe the fight took like an
At least
hour,
yeah.
or two. And MTC led the platoon. I think we came out on top at the end of it.
I remember this one because we were it was just us defending the place and we kept having to respawn in, and finally someone over yellow just like after we were on leader chat spamming it, someone was like, all right, 4-Ace, we're coming your way. I don't remember what outfit it was, but they finally showed up, and that's when the tides turned.
Remember that? It was like, I forget what, it was a Zerg outfit, I remember that, but they came in and like started stomping out the TR.
Yeah, it was something like that, but like we held that place for a good hour and a half.
Saw
Who's
the
that?
video, wasn't there for that one.
What's I was thinking about another important op. Operation, was it Wildfire? Mr. Xander.
Yes, that was
my
a
favorite.
fun one. Do you
That
remember?
was a good one.
Yes, when Xander's first lead of the NCSC.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
yeah.
That was awesome.
I was leading the platoon on that one. Holy shit!
Yeah, I think you and I were leading platoons on that because
Oh,
I had.
you were up in the officers chat panel with Xander, but you were
Oh,
both on
yeah, I was
NCSC.
relaying.
You were
Yeah, you're doing comms.
Sorry.
Selfie, we can carry on as long as people are willing to stay for it.
I just mean you have to do a leadership training.
They can wait.
Alright. Well, I was gonna cut it down to my last most important questions, if that's alright.
No, it's not.
Alright, we'll
How
go through
dare
them all
you.
then.
What?
No, I think Burf's next though for memorable op.
Well, the two I was gonna say we were both already said, but there was another one that was a good one. I think it was a member's choice, and we were like, yeah, let's go Warp Gate. I want to say it was the Vandu.
TR.
Was it the
Yeah.
TR? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
All I remember is we ended up holding this place for a while. It was
Oh,
great.
I remember that one. That one was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the leader chat gave us a shout out. We're like, thanks to the squad who just warp gated the TR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that was spectacular because we went in warp gate and then we fell back to the base and we didn't expect to hold the base and then we ended up capturing it and we sat there for 2 hours just butting heads with the 903.
Yeah, and they
And-
couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it eventually there was only like a squad, maybe 2 squads of us, and that's when the realization set in that infantry is the best tactic to have because when you have groups that rely on only aircraft or armor, you still need to put boots on the ground to actually take a point. So all they would do is keep coming at us with air, coming at us with armor, and they might have they'd kill us repeatedly, but they would never be able to kick us off the. And after like 2 hours, it took like a platoon or 2 of executive outcomes that finally dropped in and pinned us in. At that point, half of Amrish was controlled by the TR, and we were just this little blue island sitting right down there at the warp gate. That was awesome.
And the best part about that was, even before we fell back, we were griefing them at the warp gate for a while, and they couldn't even get us off of that big rock in the middle.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I remember that. Wiggle, what you got?
You know what? I can't even remember any like good ops that happened. Normally, it just comes out to me running in there and get yelled at or something. You always
Well,
yell
I
at me
know-
for my medic play.
Or sniping me.
Wiggles started out as one of the officers, and then he kind of trailed off, and happily, I was happy to see him come back. Death, you're throwing up Operation Wildfire.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like hands down. I think we showed
That was our
that.
defining
I
moment.
think it. I mean, I wouldn't say defining. I definitely would say like it definitely
Getting
put us on that
out
map.
there. Yes,
Yeah.
it really got. That's kind of what I meant by defining.
people, at least for the server, we may not have become game-wide known at that point, but from that moment, but I definitely think people were just like, oh, oh crap, like, yo, they literally, because, I mean, I remember we started at the bottom of Esmir, because we had the bottom warp gate at that time, and we literally, because, like, I remember everyone in comms at the NCSU was like, this is boring, blah, 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 blah. This is boring, we're just ghost capping. And then by the end of it, we had taken the entire base, and Xander, he took a risk. He took a huge risk. He pushed, like, everybody, and I mean literally everybody off the map. He pushed like half the forces into Indar, and he pushed half the forces onto Amerish. And he literally left, I think he left like 2 squads. I think he left Shepard and Champagne. He left like 1 squad each.
I was there too,
on
yeah.
Esamir.
Yeah.
We had to.
It was the entire 4A group that was left on Esmir with a single squad of Blue Lions. We kept bouncing back and forth between the 2 opposing warp gates.
And we literally had to like hold, and it was like he had like the job that Xander had was hold Esamir, don't let him push.
Yep.
With and we literally, it was almost like a bare bone squad. No offense, the numbers were so low, and we were like, that was probably the most stressful time I think for me I've ever dealt with.
I think we had like 1 squad per territory because there were the 2 to either side of the warp gate, and we only had a single squad defending each one. With a third that was kind of the armor column that bounced back and forth.
Yeah, and it was tough because like they would push like 2. I think they definitely pushed at least a platoon on the northwest side, and I think I was talking to Brack, and he's like, dude, there's so many people here. And I was trying to like get on comms to see if we could bring people back over to Esamir, and Xander was he was confident that we could do it, and then he was like, just hold on, just keep going, keep fighting.
It was one of those tech plant alerts, right?
It was a biolab alert, actually.
It was a biolab, yeah, because I remember we ended up just barely holding on to that biolab when the alert ended.
Yeah, because like it got to the point where, like they basically we were overrun. And I don't know I couldn't remember what happened there. Either Xander made a push to hold one of the Amerish or Indar labs, and then he kind of threw some forces back on Esamir to hold at the labs. But I mean, I think they had like one territory away from the lab, and we held them right there. It was like one of those. I just remember standing on a tower and just like counting down to 0, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we just did this.
Yeah, actually, I remember that because I was one of the squads that was guarding the TI warp gate on Esamir for Operation Wildfire. And I remember Champagne Dragon just yelling at me, "Watch out for!" I think it was Crystal River. I think was the territory. Watch out for Crystal River. Watch out for that. Watch it. Get people over there. While I was at Palos, which was a hex to the left, and the things they were tossing more at Palos, and I had literally nothing to spare. I sent I think six people over because I only had 12, and they were still taking it. And we were holding there at Palos, and that's when I was telling you there, Death. We need help. We totally need help.
Yeah, no, and I think that was when I say like the most stressful time as comms, like because I did a lot of operations. Well, I did quite a few operations as like the comms guy, where I just sat there and communicated things to the squad leaders, and I think that operation, hands down, was probably the most stressful time that I've ever had as the comms guy, because it was like Champagne was yelling at me.
She yells at everyone though.
Right, she was yelling at Brack. Brack's like, help me, like I can't get anyone. I get on the comms, I'm like, Xander, we need help. Like it was really stressful because like, and she's probably a great lady, great person, but at the time it was very, very stressful. But it was, like I said, that probably was the most rewarding operation that I've ever been a part of for PlanetSide, and I think that was one of the most I wouldn't say it was the defining moment, because there really isn't a defining moment for us. I think it was a quick rise to the top. I don't think, and it was subsequent events that had, one after the other, were just like impressing people more and more. And I think this event though definitely showed that we could actually do something as an NC. We weren't just blueberries running around getting shot and complaining about nerfs. We actually did something, and then it showed like all these other huge outfits hey, the four aces actually know what they're doing. They may not be the biggest, but they probably are the best tacticians in the entire NC, NC faction. Well, faction.
That might be a bit of a stretch at the best, but we earned our salt at
I
least.
think there's definitely a couple like CML maybe definitely better in tactics wise, but we did pretty damn good, and I think we surprised them.
I guess I'm gonna have to pick Operation Wildfire for mine, but I'll provide the leadership aspect of it. And I remember I talked to Steel Rain, he's the SG Sturm Grenadier leader, and he's the one who typically would lead them on a consistent basis. So I just got his advice. What's your vision when you do these? And his idea is he just carves out a part of the map, and he's not going to lose any more than that. I kind of had this idea. I always found the factions to be short-sighted in that we always get caught up in the big battles, like the amp stations, the tech plants, the biolabs, when we would have the ability to bypass them and take so much more territory or ground, and then force them to retreat from those big battles, and it makes it easier to go and backcap them, if that makes sense. So essentially, if you take it, they will come. If you're in their warp gate, they're going to come and defend their warp gate. They're not going to defend the biolab. So that was the concept behind Operation Wildfire, in that I was going to take the lowest populated server at the time, that we had the least amount of ground, that we were just getting pounded, and that just didn't have a lot of enemy forces. And I was going to take the entire force of the NCSC, which was at that time was pretty sizable, as Blue Lions, VCO had a couple platoons, Sturm Grenadier, and I just wanted to take an entire continent and hold an entire continent for what. And so when an alert came by, it would be ahead of the ball game right from the get-go. So, and that was the thing, like, people weren't used to that. They didn't like the ghost capping. A lot of, like, VCO will just take and throw themselves into the biggest fight. They don't really look at the map too much. It's just their mentality. It's what they do. They like to jump in the biggest fights. Like I said, Sturm Grenadier, they like to partition off the section, or Steel does when he's leading the ops, and they hold that territory. Never experienced the Blue Lions lead, but for me, like, I didn't want to. I've never been like, a good fight is always fun, but for me, success is based on how much territory you can control, or if you can defeat the enemy on a tactical level. And that's what I wanted to do. Is I want to basically get ourselves ahead of the game, which is why we did all that ghost capping, and they hated it. They absolutely hated it.
Oh my god, they complained so much.
And,
Yes.
But so as we were getting up there the rest of the way, and we were pounding them back into their warp gate, that's when the biolab alert came, and voila, we already had like 2 or 3 on Ezimir locked and loaded. So, and there was some, and I had warned the 4 aces beforehand. I was like, I'm gonna tap you guys out, because that's the complaint with the NCSC when there's an overall commander control, is that SG just used and abused us, or Blue Lions treated us like dirt. And not saying that actually happened, but that's what the biggest gripe was, that people felt like they were trounced on. So I made a point to warn my guys that, hey, I'm going to trounce on you. I'm going to give you the shittiest assignments and send you into the worst situations.
I remember having to remind everyone in the platoon, saying, all right, guys, we're going to be the brunt. Like, we maybe not have the most interesting fights, but we are still doing a big part of this.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I sent the 4 races into the shittiest fights, and there was fights that looking at the map, I was like, there's no way those guys are going to hold out. There's no way that 4 aces is going to be able to repel that attack or defend it. And they pulled it out. So the ground leaders that day operated spectacularly. But yeah, we took all of Ezimir, so it was like, well, what do we do? So we already had, was it SMG? SMG like tagged along. They weren't.
Yeah.
They were like there, but not really there. And they were already on Amrish fighting. So I started sending everybody to Amrish, and then left a few squads to just play whack-a-mole between the VS and the TR warp gates on Ezimir. And they held them, and we managed to hold enough of the biolabs on Amrish to win in the end. And after each NCSC op, there's an AAR where he talked about how well they did, and I was pretty proud of myself. We won a biolab alert, dominated a continent, and the only real complaint that I was expecting was, oh, the ghost captain is boring. But winning a biolab and dominating continents is pretty darn fun, if you ask me. But I just remember I just said, all right, guys, I know
User joined your
AAR, just let me have it. I want to be better at this. How we do, and I think it was the first time in like an NCSC AAR that it was just silent. I don't know, Death. What was the atmosphere?
I think it was like, I think they were. I don't think like. I don't want to say they were shocked, like, they can't do this, but I think they were just like, these guys just, like, we just did this. Like, they were kind of like, wow, we won. And I guess they were shocked. It felt like they were shocked more than anything, and that they really just didn't know what to say, if anything. And in all honesty, I think there were a few small things, and like, there definitely was. I remember complaints from Blue Lions. No offense to Blue Lions, I love you guys are great, but they were not happy with regards to leaving. With the crap
Splitting the
assignment on
forces.
SMA.
Yeah,
they were not happy with that. They felt like that was. I remember her saying like.
That's right. It wasn't organized. It would have been better
Right.
to leave all of 4Ace and then send all Blue Line, or leave Blue Line and send all 4Ace. But yeah, I had two
Right.
different outfits split up on Esmir, and it was a good point. But
But
it was
other
just
than
kind of
that,
minor stuff.
Yeah, like they were pretty quiet, and it was very like there was nothing major said. I think it was all like nitpick, small things that were like, well, it's an inconvenience for you, but you still won, right? That's the way you could have countered it. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, it didn't make you feel good, but we won. So
Yeah, actually, I remember that AARP after action report, and Day made me seem like a complete
Oh,
boob on this
yeah.
thing when I was trying to mention a point. But the thing is that as I was trying to say something, Day, once again being my brother and playing the game 5 feet to my right in real life, he's a talkative.
He's doing the 4 Ace AR, and he's just like being this whole morale. Just we did this, yada yada yada. Just very loudly. I remember saying the AR, hearing that, and just like, oh, God,
Yeah,
oh,
and I can't talk over him because he was being a lot more enthusiastic about it. I'm trying to remember.
Yes.
I'm trying to provide a professional air, and then he's like blah 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 in the background, and then I completely lose my point in the middle of the AAR, and it's just like, I'm sorry, I lost my point. I got Day yelling in the back of my ear, and just it was a funny and embarrassing moment for me, but I think it should be mentioned.
I remember that one.
I didn't get to hear those. I would have loved to hear stories about like the outfit AAR after that night. I'm sure it was a pretty happy one.
Yeah,
No, you were there, Xander. You were like, it sounded like there was a lecture happening in the room with me.
well,
I missed
Xander
the end of
was
it.
with the
I was there at the end.
NCSC AR. We were talking about the outfit AAR.
Oh.
But Pogan, you got any good ones?
Let's see. I mean, you guys covered a few of the ones I was in with you. I guess one of the big ones is getting galaxies and dropping into tech plants back when we could just like take over it from the inside.
I still like to do that.
Yeah.
User left your channel.
How about you, Striker?
I don't know, I remember crashing a few times. I haven't really gotten to play as much as a lot of you guys do. I try to get on and I often miss like squad ops. I have a tendency to come in just as you're announcing end of ops. Like shit.
No worries.
But hearing all this, I'm definitely gonna make a more effort to get on when you guys are on.
Yeah, the only other one that pops out in my head is one that we had on Esamir, and I got a lot of it on video. It's sitting in the BitTorrent, and is we got like plugged back in Esamir. There's that amp station that goes out to a watchtower, then crosses that long bridge to that, that one base on the other side of the bridge in the river. Anyone know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Well, it's just we were like hammered back into that amp station, then we just
Ellie amp.
yeah, and then 4Ace just led this huge push, or by the end, like we had to slug it out to the watchtower, a lot of flanking, a lot of fighting, and by the time we were pushing across the bridge, I had the 4Ace platoon just like right at the forefront of everybody, and I remember we were getting a lot of shout outs of like, go 4Ace, go, and stuff like that. That was the other big battle op that I had just a ton of fun with, and that was a extremely proud moment of the outfit because yeah, we were definitely outnumbered and just pounded the VS back, begrudgingly, and that's the other good one. So I'm not stealing all Operation Wildfire from Death.
Oh no, I have another one that I can give to you. I remember we had an op on Indar, and I think Shep remembers this one. The one where we pushed through, we pushed literally the west side of the continent, and it kind of, what was it? It was like we went through Havar Tech, Havar Northgate, through Quartz Ridge, through Indar, and then we split up. We split up and went and hit Dahaka, and we hit Swarva, and we caused. I think it was the VS at the time. I don't know. I can't remember the rotations.
I think it was TR.
Yeah, or TR. But we it was like we led the pushes into those two, into the Biolab and into the uplink to into Dahaka Amp, and we got stopped at Dahaka Amp, and so we called. Did we call in us? We might have called it like ECO. Somebody. We called in somebody, and it was like we got in there, and we were getting pounded, and then somebody, like 4 gals came in and dropped, and then I think it was, I don't know, but it was a really awesome op, and I think it was a territory battle, and we definitely cut off a lot of lattice links getting into Dahaka, especially Swarva. Swarva was a huge spot that we hit, and that was a really good one. And then I just remember a lot of the amazing battles at Quartz Ridge, just hunkering, like we would just drop in, get on that western hill, and just pop people from up top. I mean, it was that place is insane. I mean, you can have a full out war just in that hex, which I found pretty crazy.
It sucks now. You wouldn't like the upbeat.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty curious to see. I'll have to talk later about it, but one thing I wanted to mention is like how we evolved as the game evolved. One thing that I remember we used to do a lot was we would have a guy, have squad leader, right, and we'd have a guy, he'd go down, right, and then we'd throw squad leader to someone else. They would throw a beacon. Everyone would drop in. We would keep rotating, and then a lot of the changes really like hindered a lot of our old tactics, but I think it was pretty amazing that we were able to adapt and overcome in a way.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Anybody have any other good ops to toss out?
There's so many.
It really was.
The thing is that there's a lot that come to mind, but I can't remember any particular details, only like the final product. Like I know that there was a territory grab. We were at the northern warp gate for Indar, and Death, I think you were leading this particular squad, and it was a territory grab, and I remember we were doing a last-ditch effort. It was like 3-way split, 33, 33, 33, and we were going to push. We were hitting Helios Solar.
Yes,
and we were taking it from the VS, I think. And what ended up happening was there was like literally 2 seconds left, and within that 2 seconds left, the timer just worked out just perfectly. That was like Helios, like the last second.
Yes, I think we were on foot, and yeah, it was like I was like, oh my god, we switched, it flipped. And I think I don't think we got the win out of it. I can't remember, but I think we took the win away from VS or something along the lines. I can't.
We were definitely tip of the spear though. That was that was like when we realized we're like the tip of the spear. Like we're always the first ones in.
Yeah, I definitely remember
on a
that.
side point, that's kind of what I want the outfit lore to be created, because it's kind of like you have Battle of the Bulge, you have D-Day, you have all these great battles that have names. And there's only a few that we can actually call out that everyone kind of fondly remembers based on name like the Operation Wildfire. That's one that if you just mention, people go, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's what I'm hoping with the outfit lore, that after we have these epic battles or nights, we can come in and say, this is the Battle of Helios Solar, something like that.
Round one. Your channel.
Oh god.
But yeah, definitely I've always tried to set the outfit up to advance the battles, whether we get completely wiped or not so much. Never been much for like the static fighting. So that's why commonly the tip of the spear, and according to Torque, people have made fun of us, for saying that we're Bax wannabes or things like that. It's mostly it's very much a lemming or a meerkat attitude in that you see a bunch of people run in one direction, other people are just going to follow just from natural flow of things. So I try to make us be that group that people see going forward or dropping ahead, that they say, oh, let's go help those guys, or hey, I see people pushing, let's push too, and to try to advance the battle within the whole spectrum of the fight. So and that's why our infantry unit decal is the slogan is advancing the fight. Sorry, just some side notes. Sorry to digress there, Selfie.
Alright, so is that everyone?
Think so.
Yes, sir.
Alright, moving on then.
So, Selfie, if we could, just because Death's got to go, if you have any group questions, if you could toss them out real quick, and if we could just get Death's perspective on them.
Yeah,
so
I've got to go.
Yeah, so the group questions, we'll get those going, and so for those who need to get going, they can get their perspective.
Yeah, it's fine. I've only got like 2 questions left, and one of them's pretty much directed at you.
Alright.
So, when any of you guys joined the outfit, did you ever expect or think or have any idea that it would evolve into what it is now?
No.
God, no.
Yeah, no way.
No.
I kind of had an idea.
I mean, you always hope, right? But like,
Oh yeah.
the last thing I thought of was being like a leader. When I first jumped in here, I was like, oh, this could be a nice little like escape from the day-to-day doldrums of, research and things like that. And then I was like, at the end of it, I look back, I'm like, damn, like where, how did I get here? How did I have the opportunity to lead such an amazing group, such great people, and do pretty big things in a game that's pretty popular? I was just like, after doing some reflection, after taking a step away, yeah, it was pretty humbling experience to like look back at where I came from, and not only me but everyone else, the group itself, and then see where we were reputation wise and how many games we were involved with. It's pretty humbling, and I'm very proud that I can say that I was a part of at least the groundwork for the outfit.
I'd be especially interested to hear about the original members, the couple original members we have on here, and what they think haven't been associated so long.
I had no idea. I got in because I wanted a dedicated group of people to play Left 4 Dead with, and pretty soon we got so good at that game that I would be inviting my real life friends in to play, and I'd be like, all right, watch out, Xander. Getting a friend to come in here, and they're kind of new to this, so and then we would just lose just because of them, and I was like, okay, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Like maybe we should just stick to what we know. And I had no idea with what y'all have been doing with PlanetSide, which I'm not even a part of. I only just got reacquainted with the group through DayZ.
I still remember when we met you that one time.
Yeah. I mean, I think I met you and Pardue.
Guys, I'm surrounded by a bunch of 3 guys holding axes.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's right.
That's us.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's exactly what it was too.
Yeah, I think I was the one that was there for that.
Yep, I was too.
That was hysterical.
Oh yes.
Shit, that's you. Okay, thank God. Oh Jesus.
Remember that one? And
everyone
Burf
put your
hitting me in
weapons away.
the chest with an
Everyone.
axe.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great, man.
I don't know, Shepard, your take, progress from then and now, ever see it?
What?
Just back to the question, I mean, did you ever think?
No, absolutely not. Like, I mean, yes, I've been hoping the group would advance, but I had no idea we would get this far in this amount of time, to be completely honest. Like, maybe 2 years down the line, yeah, but as quick as we've done things, no.
For me personally, I have never ever been a part of a gaming society of any kind. So,
Likewise.
So in regards to expecting like something like this to even form, like I've always seen them. I've played online beforehand, like with other games, like even as far back as the old StarCraft 1 and stuff, and you'd see clan outfits and all that jazz. But I mean, to be a part of something like this, it's something completely alien to me, and to see it literally unfold right before me is, it's quite it definitely adds an extra oomph to all the games that I play now. Now that I know that there's like an online community that I can play with, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of hard to put it into words on how I feel about it because, well, it's the first time. You pop that cherry, as it were, Xander. So, I mean, I never expected this to get big because I could never fathom anything like this.
No, one thing that I keep remembering though is before Death became an officer, I think it was just me and him on Planet Side online. There wasn't that many people in the outfit at the time, and it was just us running a lib for several hours, just sitting there, and he was just like asking all these questions because before I was with the 4 Aces, I was an officer in another group similar to this, but it was on PlayStation, so I had some experience with this, but not much.
Wiggle.
Sorry, hold on. My dogs are attacking me.
Bogan.
Excuses.
Yeah, I've been part of a few gaming clans here and there. The one notably I went to was in Guild Wars, and it was also kind of a multi-game clan. But honestly, I guess this one, definitely when it started, it was a little bit smaller, but I didn't expect it to take off as much. And honestly, when we started having, I guess, less membership and not as many people active, I thought maybe it'd just be like one of the other ones that would just die off. But I'm glad to be wrong, and you know, we've been able to now get like a framework that actually, which I see a lot of other ones don't get. Like now that we have it running like a business, I see it, you know, sustaining itself for a much longer period of time.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Striker?
Yeah, just like Bogan, I've been in a lot of gaming communities that
User
just
left your channel.
we either just split off or it just dies off eventually. It's good to see 4 Aces, at least, very least you keep it back. Never willing to quite give up on it. Yeah, which is pretty awesome. And interestingly, a number of them went down because the one of the head guys would have a kid or something, or get his girl pregnant, something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, well,
Think we'd never hear from him again.
I gotta be honest. I never really expected to still be doing this, and to be expanding it even further. And you know what? Ultimately, originally you look back and a lot of the stories are, oh, Xander rolled up in a Sunday and invited me in, and you know, being that original catalyst to it all, it's great. You can create a spark and you can get a flame going, but a flame's got to have fuel, and if you don't provide the fuel, it's going to burn out. And the beautiful thing about the group, and a particular difference about this revival versus others, is that I've been lucky enough to have people who've stepped up with me along the way and said, hey, let's do this. And I would be like, I'm sorry, I have no idea how to do that. And they'd be like, here, let me show you. You know, Shepard with the website, Burfer with domain and other stuff along that line, Brock and a lot of advertising, social media advice. There's just, you know, anybody who's been there from the beginning most likely has stepped up into a leadership position and now helps support the vision for advancing it further. So that's... you know, I never imagined I would have, you know, a great group of people that would come and support the group, and who I could not only call friends that I have, but also, you know, almost coworkers in this labor of love that we have, that we really have a grand vision for. So it's definitely has blown my mind that there's people who are stepping up and they plan it into their lives and to keep it going. If I could just get squeeze in one question to take over the interview, what if just a quick one-word answer? What's the one thing that you guys think makes the outfit the best or most attractive thing to that other people join for?
Comic relief. Oh God.
Multi-gaming.
I'll say professionalism.
Accessibility.
Consistency.
I'm gonna say teamwork.
Shepard?
I'm trying to think of just one.
Verbal bludgeoning. To keep us in line, of course.
Well, I was thinking also, I mean, just and I learned from the previous two iterations to keep it expanding in that you can't put all your eggs in one basket with one game because not everybody wants to play PlanetSide 2 forever, just like not everybody wants to play Left 4 Dead forever. And I definitely, you got to give a huge shout out to people like Chief Fluffy and Mushroom Cloud who are building up our DayZ and Star Citizen branches and building their an entire game staff unto themselves to get those endeavors up and going so we can continue to expand the outfit, but also get, we can all stay together and say, hey, there's this new game, I'm really excited about. Are you going to join? Are we going to jump into it together? And we just continue to go through life, hopefully playing games and kicking back on our Saturday evenings together, catching up, at least until Burford dies, because he's the oldest of us, and then we'll go to his funeral.
What?
Oh my god.
What did I just hear? I'm an adult. I'm gonna go home.
All right.
What you got?
So
Chef?
I was gonna say I think my one word is gonna have to be community, because that is what this group is. It's not just a gaming group. We work together.
24 hours a day.
I mean, I've made people that I would call very close friends, like closer than some of the people I know in real life. I will play games with them. I'm sure I'll stay friends with some of these people for a very long time.
And Sergeant Rabbit, he's a newer member. He's not a Neo original member, but he is one of our new guys. Go ahead, if you want to provide the one-word input, go for it.
Let's go, push out, push out,
push out.
Just overall fun. Like, you guys make doing things in PlanetSide a lot of fun. That's why I joined.
Cool. That's what it's supposed to be all about too, is having fun together. All right. Sorry, Selfie. Didn't mean to steal it.
No, that's fine. That was actually one of the questions I didn't put up there because I forgot about it. But yeah, on to my last question, because I think we kind of gotta get on to that leadership training. But so this one's specifically for Xander. Was there ever a time recently or way in the past with the first iteration of the outfit when you were just ready to pack up and throw it all out the window?
Are you saying like this last iteration?
Just any times when you were ready to just kick down a wall and walk out.
Yeah, I mean, of course there's times, and you know what? That's where it's important that I talk to the other officers and especially Brock and Day and Burford's great giving guidance, and I'll talk to Shepard a lot too, and where it's they pick me back up because it is, even though it's supposed to be fun, it's a lot of it's kind of funny that it's stressful making things fun for people because we have structure, we have regulations, we have standards. You have to enforce them, and there's you're consistently having people who come in and they want to change the standards of the group. They want to be an exception to the rule, and you can't do that because if you give a mouse a cookie concept thing. So I mean, yes, there are times that I'm just like, F this. Why am I still doing this? I should be playing with my kid or something like that, or I've been waiting to beat BioShock and Fallout New Vegas for like years now as I've been focusing on this.
Yeah, if I could just butt in for a second, I think a notable burnout period, maybe I'm not sure for you Xander, but I know for the outfit, and so by extrapolation I'm guessing you, I think is probably around Christmas, because we had made such a huge impression throughout the fall, but by the time December came around and Christmas came around, I know that the attendance without the whole outfit just took a nosedive, and all of us were spending time with our families because it was Christmas and stuff, but we were trying to, I think we were trying to make one last push before Christmas, but it just never happened. And I think I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I detected a lot of us, maybe even you, Xander included, that we were just all completely burnt. I was like, okay, we'll go and regroup like the first weekend in January, and he said this may have happened probably like just shortly before Christmas, so we took like 2 weeks off, and just
Yeah, I remember that. That was actually Yeah, we were all kind of tired, so we kind of used the holidays as an excuse for not planning any events. So I think when I did my weekly updates, I just said, officership is taking some time off to spend with families. Everyone get online, play together, have fun, but there's not going to be really any formal events. So I can vaguely recall that.
I remember that as well.
But it was probably the closest time to when I was closest to saying just like, fuck it, I'm done. Was back when we had, it was the PlanetSide 2 anniversary, and there was some ops and everything planned, and I didn't get much input from myself put into it, but at the same time I didn't really put out a lot of guidance, so I didn't even get a chance, or wasn't even a part of those ops, those birthday ops or anything that was put on that time. So that's but you know what, you regroup. There's just like life, there's going to be a roller coaster, there's going to be ups and downs. We regrouped from it, and we just kind of said, okay, those are going to be the PlanetSide 2 birthday ops, but when the website comes around, we're going to do big time, a week of partying, which is what we've done. And I think we've done pretty well with a bunch of different events that the outfit is involved in, with the plug.dj, Daisy, PlanetSide 2, just all sorts of stuff you've seen popping up this week. But yeah, that's the only time that I seriously reflected on it, and I know it's dinner time, buddy. Just let me finish up.
Xander, it's dinner time. Just want to give you a heads up.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, that's the only time that I really was seriously that I looked at it and was like, well, maybe it's time that I stop this and focus on something else. But you know what, Jim and Day and Brock, I think specifically that time, kind of picked me up and dusted me off, and we got back into it, and came out stronger. So there's always stuff. It seems like there's always something that's gonna pop up that makes it tougher for you. You just got to be resilient and rely on your friends to get you through. And you pick each other up and you keep going at it together. Sorry for the interruptions.
No, that's fine. But yeah, that's all I got for the interview for now, and we've gone way over time, but it was good to get it all done today. So thank you all for coming out and doing this, and I'm gonna start uploading this to file share. I think Xander has to go eat dinner, and then I guess we're gonna do a leadership training later. I'm not sure about that though anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna gauge interest, and we'll see. So
well, I'll go.
Thank you. Just to close there, I want to thank everybody for coming out and spending time for this, and I really hope that when next year comes around the same time, that I still see the same names popping in, and we all continue just have a good time together.